Hello, in this video let's have a look how to use the transfer node and how to use it to create a growing mycelium effect. So the first thing, how does the transfer node work? Well, you have your base geometry and you have your object you want to transfer attributes from. So in this case I'm transferring color, so it's most obvious. As you can see, just plug it in and the attribute gets transferred. Now, and notice this is just a primitive with one point, so that's why it appears that it's transferring also the volume, like it's transferring from the inside. What I mean by that is if I use this polygon sphere, which has this kind of points, and I plug it in, now you can see it transfers attributes from around the points, not from the volume inside. If I make this smaller, now you can see we're transferring just attributes from around the points. And please notice that if you want it to have it work correctly, you need to initialize the default values. So if this doesn't have this color, you will see the blending doesn't work correctly because it doesn't have anything to blend it with. So to create this attribute transfer, you just create this attribute transfer node, plug in the geometry you want to transfer attributes to, attributes geometry you want to transfer attributes from. You go to conditions and play with this distance threshold and maybe the blend width, and that's it. So now you see attributes get transferred. Also in here you can specify which attributes you want to transfer. Good, so now we have an understanding how the transfer node works. So how are we going to use it? Let's have a look at this example. This is basically the same as in my previous tutorial, how to create the Mycelium effect. The only difference is I added the transfer node, and I'm transferring this attribute, which will control the growth. So it's basically like a black and white mask, and if the value is 0 or black, there will be no mycelium effect. And if you remember, at the end we're creating this mycelium effect with this polywire node, and we have this attribute called thickness, which controls the thickness of the mycelium. And what I'm doing here, after I transfer this attribute, which is kind of my mask, I am just multiplying the thickness by this color, by this attribute. So this way, if there's black, the thickness is 0, and in here the thickness is multiplied by 1, so we get the correct thickness. So if we would have a look at how it looks, you can see the attribute gets transferred and the mycelium grows. Now, and depending on your effect and what you're looking for, it might be a good idea to insert the transfer node before the deformation. So in here I have a bend node, which deforms my geometry. And as you can see now, it's very easy for me to animate the growth. Whereas if it's deformed, it would be difficult for me to animate this bending angle. And it would be even more difficult in the case of this stack, because when he moves his head and everything, this would be very difficult for me to animate the growth. So to recap, we basically transfer this attribute, which is kind of like our mask or multiplier, and then we multiply the thickness by it. And this way some parts get 0 thickness and some part get the full thickness. And with the stag mesh, I used the same thing. In here, I'm transferring the attribute, as you can see. I'm doing all the skinning and the animation here. And in here, we're animating the growth. We're actually creating the wires which have their attributes, so the mycelium effect happens in here, in this part. And one more thing, you might get these weird artifacts, and that I think is caused because you have points with 0 thickness. So if you want to get rid of it, you can use the group expression and type something like this. Thickness is smaller than like, some value, and this will group the points that don't have any thickness, and in here you can delete them, so you'll get rid of the artifacts. If I disable it again, go to the wire, go actually here, you'll see I get this weird artifacts, and then my points are still here. So this might be an issue for you, so you can get rid of it this way. You will get a much cleaner result. And that is all for this one. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.